This area of Guatemala is a hotspot of geothermal features. Now, over the years, man has harnessed some of this energy, and today we're going to take you to some of our favorite results of this.
Yeah, we're about 5 or 6 miles south of QUETZALTENANGO. We're in an area of Almolonga, the town of Almolonga, that is collectively known as Los Baños. So there's about a dozen or so bathhouses here, and we're gonna go take a bath. So we promise to keep this video squeaky clean in more ways than one, and at all times. It's worth noting that these bathhouses in this part of Guatemala are extremely important to many of the local families here. As a matter of fact, multi-generations of families will gather to bathe here together. So we're going to talk more about these bathhouses. We're going to show you some of our favorite bathhouses from this part of Guatemala, and we're going to tell you more about the protocol for utilizing these bathhouses.
Buenas tardes, estamos para servirle.
Yeah, we said we were going to take a bath, but we're going to mercifully spare you the gory details of that. Instead, I'm going to take this opportunity to briefly talk to you about these different bathhouses that I mentioned earlier in the video. And this is just one example. First of all, the price of this particular bathroom, we'll call it, is 30 quetzales for 1 hour. And that's not per person, it's just per room. So 30 quetzales is about, I'd say that's about a little bit over $3 US. So we're going to talk about what the protocol is. So you pay for how long you want your bathroom. So they're private, which is the most important thing to point out. You have a door that closes behind you. You lock the door. You have a little bit of a changing area right here. Now you move on to the bath, and you've got a couple steps down into the bath right here. And you have 2 taps. This is the hot tap right here. This is all the hot geothermally heated water that you could want. And what you do is, there you go, you get the idea. I'm gonna guess this is about 120 degrees, 130 degrees usually, this water. This is very, very hot water. Too hot to just kind of fill the tub and soak in. So what you do in that case is, you move on to this next tap right here, which is just cold water. So you temper it with a little bit of cold water. Very simple. So here's your drain cover right here. So you just pop that in the drain right there, and you fill this tub up with all the hot water you want. You sit down here, you relax a little bit. And I got to point out this feature over here too. This is typical of all the bathhouses that we've been to in Los Baños. They always have this little separate rinsing area. Again, another little step to sit on. Now you don't fill this up with water. You just kind of sit here, and you're normally given a little bit of a bowl. And what you do with that bowl is you just kind of, you come back over here to the tub, you fill the bowl with some hot water. And as you sit down here, you rinse yourself off. And they all have these little built-in overflow protections from the tub. So if you happen to leave the water on, the water's just it's gonna drain right out here, and it's gonna go into this rinsing area, and it's gonna go down that drain right there. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So this is where Fiona's been hanging out, finishing getting dressed. So a lot of these bathhouses too will have some kind of like a little bit of a seating area outside. So once you exit the room and you want to cool off a little bit, you get a nice little cool draft coming through the place. You sit out here and relax for a little bit. So.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. After you've had your bath, there's so much steam in there that as you try to put your clothes on, that's exactly what you're doing. You're trying, it's like your skin is just like slippery and wet. So it's a bit of a hard job putting clothes on. So if you can at least get the clothes on, you can come out here and put your socks and shoes on and boots and whatever.
That's right.
It's just to try to get some fresh air.
So we've shown you one example of a room. With this example, I've kind of explained the protocol. And in the rest of the video here, we're going to show you just we're going to give you an idea of what some of the other bathhouses Bathhouses are like in Almolonga, and even in the next town south of here, ZUNIL.
And every place is different. You have to understand that. Actually, standing right here in this corridor, it's completely different. What you just saw, what Jerry showed you, was the 30 QUETZALTENANGO bathhouse. And then just right across the way, there is the 25 QUETZALTENANGO bathhouse. Or not bathhouse, but bath.
Bathroom.
It's basically, it's the same thing. It's just not as cheery and bright with the freshly painted walls.
It's not as luxurious.
But it's the same basic stuff that you get.
Exactly. Exactly.
It all comes down to the basic thing that you're here for, to have a soak and a steam.
And it's important to note this, and I can't believe that I left this out. Each room is scrubbed and cleaned in between uses, so you are getting a clean room. So just keep that in mind, all right? So we're going to tell you why we enjoy coming to these bathhouses in the first place, and we're going to also talk about some of our favorite bathhouses here.
So like we said, there's about 12 or 13 bathhouses in this area that's known as Los Baños. Now to date, we've been to about 6 of them. Our very first time to Los Baños was in 2009. So over time, we've developed our own favorites. So the following are our top choices. And it starts with number 1, and that is Fuentes Georginas, where we are right now. Now, the reason that we love this place, or one of the many reasons, is I think it's a nostalgia factor. This was one of the first places that we came to in 2009, and we just keep coming back. One, just the service here, the people that work here are lovely, really sweet. 2, it's what I consider the luxury factor, the steps. You can recline on those steps and be totally comfortable with your beer, because we do call this beer bath bliss. You relax on the step, you've got like the wall behind you, and you just kick back with that beer bath bliss.
I also like the fact that the cheaper rooms here, the ones for 20 quetzales, the floors are concrete, and they're not as slippery as the more expensive tile rooms for 30 quetzales. I like that. So
where Fuentes Georginas loses a little bit is the fact that because it is such a great place, it gets really, really busy at the weekends. They have a parking lot, which a lot of bathhouses don't, and it's a really big parking lot. So that's a big draw for people. However, the upside of that was this time, because we couldn't get into Fuentes Georginas on the weekend, or we could, but we would have had to wait for like 45 minutes. It forced us to check out some other bathhouses that we wouldn't normally do. So, as a result of that, we found our second favourite bathhouse, and that has turned out to be Bathhouse Le Fay. And why do we like Bathhouse Le Fay?
That water was piping hot, and not only was it hot, but it has had consistently, and we've been there many times since, the highest mineral content of all the bathhouses that we have visited so far. And I say that because when you walk into a room at Bathhouse Le Fay and you turn that hot tap on, you can smell the sulfur immediately. And it also...
which to us is a really good thing.
Yeah.
We love that smell.
You want those benefits from the water. You can see it as well when it comes to the silver. So
yeah, the silver becomes tarnished really, really quickly. So that's just an indication of how high that mineral content is there at Bathhouse Le Fay.
So hot water, mineral content, and never a wait there.
Our third new favourite, this is a place that I've wanted to try for ages now. This is Bathhouse Cerrillo Flores. It's the oldest bathhouse of all of these bathhouses. It was founded in 1830, and it's just got completely its own character and atmosphere to it. I am in love with it. So you'll see footage of as you enter this, and you can't help but as you walk through the hallways to make your way here, you can't help but think about the history of this place. How many people have walked through these hallways? What was it like? It's almost 200 years old. And if you can hear me right now, I've got a touch of laryngitis. Doesn't shut me up, obviously. But way back in the day, when this was the first bathhouse here, it was for therapeutic measures. It was for health. For somebody who loves old buildings, history, I'm in heaven. Absolute heaven in this place.
I'm gonna swing this camera around again, try not to get her bits there.
Okay.
Good.
The depth, you found out about the water.
Right, I asked the attendant here, how deep do you have to go down to get hot water? And he said about 20 meters. So I asked if that was typical of all the bathhouses here in Los Baños, and he said no. He said, you know, give or take, some are 25, some are 30, maybe a little bit more. So what I found out by asking that is that each bathhouse taps their own vein of hot water.
This is nature fed. There have been a few times on this visit in different bathhouses where the pressure hasn't been that great. For whatever reason, nature just didn't feel up to it that moment in time. And that's why we typically do a 3-hour soak ourselves, or a 2-hour soak. If you've only got an hour, and if half of that time is taken with not the best water pressure, because you can't just like walk up and ask, how's the water pressure? You kind of find out when you go in there.
Can you turn that up, please?
Yeah, so we definitely recommend, like, you know, get a couple of hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. You're not going to regret it.
And just a few miles south of Los Baños is the town of ZUNIL, and we've got a video on ZUNIL. We're going to leave a link to that right up above. There are also a handful of bathhouses in ZUNIL. Now, we've known about these for quite some time now, but it was only in 2022 when we actually visited some of these for ourselves. And just outside of ZUNIL is one of the area's most popular tourist attractions. This is another geothermal spot called Fuentes Georginas. And we visited Fuentes Georginas in 2013.
If you happen to look up baños in QUETZALTENANGO, or Xela, as it's also known as, this is probably going to be the first thing that comes up. Baños Belcarcel. It's not open anymore. COVID put an end to it, it seems. We checked it out a couple of weeks ago, and it was closed. It's still closed, and it doesn't seem like it's going to reopen at any time soon. Unfortunately, because it did look like a really interesting place. So sadly, Baños Belcarcel is no more.
So why do we enjoy coming to these bathhouses?
The first reason is you step off a chicken bus and you're right there. You can walk into any of these bathhouses within steps from hopping off the bus. You don't have to hike in, you don't have to get a taxi, you don't have to do any of that stuff. It's just dead handy.
I think there's the privacy factor as well. You get your own room here. We can bathe. We're not hindered by, you know, whether or not you're allowed to bring soap, shampoo, whether or not you're allowed to shave. So this remains one of your most favorite things to do ever, isn't it?
Yeah, this is definitely one of my top 3 most favorite things to do ever, anywhere in the entire world. And it's fairly simple. I mean, now it actually feels like we're really back in Xela, now that we're here.
Yeah, it's like all these clouds rolling in. It seems like every time we come here to Los Baños, there's always clouds rolling over this little valley that we're in. It just kind of adds to the whole magical experience.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. It's one of my favorite things to do as well. So
yeah, it's a pretty simple thing, and yeah, like I say, now it really feels like we're back in Xela.
We are.
We are.
And finally, we're often in need of a therapeutic soak for our achy muscles because there's a particular hike around Los Baños which we really enjoy. And we're going to leave a link to that video right up above. Enjoy!